for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, and I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising and good morning to everybody out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and we got another great show for you. I want to welcome you to another terrific Tuesday. I'm liking this little thing I'm doing right here with the days of the week. Got to bring in my guy, Big O. What up, Big O?
Trey Holiday, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I gotta say, you just, on and popping.
Hey, thank you. I had to have my, blue and orange on.
I see you. See, like you representing the best of both worlds. You know, you got your Rainier Beach, orange and blue, but you also got the CD or See Me, because I know you're a Garfield Bulldog, huh?
Hey, it's a double representation happening with this outfit. Absolutely.
All right, good stuff. You know, we wanted to get the music in there, but we didn't want to get struck.
Right.
We playing basketball. All right, man. Today, on a serious note, you know what I'm saying? We haven't had this much spotlight on Rainier Beach. Well, I guess we do it once a month because we talk about the actual building of Rainier Beach. But since we were out there at Rainier Beach High School, we did a live show there, a year ago. We got some music going back there, someone. About a year ago, we were back there at Rainier Beach. But, man, this is real serious. It's something near and dear to your heart. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let you lead the discussions here today. Man, Rainier Beach High School, they're saying that basically is what the WIAA did in the seeding of the brackets for the playoffs was crap. There's just really no other official word than crap.
Well, I'm really excited to be able to dive into this discussion. I think it's so important for us to understand the mechanics behind the game. So we're going to really get into that today.
Yeah, and we've got John Arnold, who's a data scientist with Vertical Life, and we got, man, this guy is tall. we got Jalen Green in the building. One thing for sure, because listen, Jalen, after the live shows, everybody signs the wall, and they've run out of space. We know that you'll be okay, so you'll be able to get to it. So we're talking basketball. More importantly, we're talking about equity and fairness around our children and how it relates here into sports and the WIAA. What makes up that governing body, and is it representative of our community? So
yeah, I'm so excited because this is definitely something my son's been involved in since second grade. So
all right, well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. Want to remind you, right now is the perfect time to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share this stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College, and also the South Seattle Emerald. Reminding everybody, you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Salmon's put SoundCloud right there, but you can check us out on Google, Spotify, iTunes. All you have to do is search Converge Media Network. It's the time in the show here we're offering resources around COVID, but something else. Governor Inslee, he's moved up the date. I think the date now is March 12th. For the mask, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a good thing. I think it was the 21st before.
Yeah, the 21st.
So now it's the 12th. I'll be honest with you. I think outside of the hardcore municipality, a lot of people of businesses have relaxed the mask.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I was out somewhere last night and we're like, well, do you need to see our vaccination cards? Do we? And they're just like, oh, no, none of that,
Well, yeah.
So a lot of things are changing.
So, yeah, as of today, just to be clear, vaccination card is no longer required now for in Martin Luther King County. So there's no vaccination card. It looks like March 12th, the actual mask is going to go. That being said, though, man, it's COVID is still real. You know what I'm saying? The impacts are out there. We've got a link Salmon's putting in the comments right now. This is hereforuswa.org, hereforuswa.org. And this is a resource right here, especially for those who are vaccine hesitant. So if you're hesitant, especially now, you're like, well, the mandate's leaving, the card's leaving. Should I get vaccinated? You want to look on that there. And one thing I want to talk to Dr. Duchin. Dr. Duchin was like, well, man, all these things are getting lifted. Why should somebody in my neighborhood still get vaccinated? He was like, bro, I mean, one, you could still get sick. You get somebody else sick. But he also talked about the effects of long COVID. He's like, probably not going to die, but you could have some effects to it. Anyways, hereforuswa.org. You can go there. Like I said, if you got questions, but also if you're looking to get vaccinated, a booster shot, and for testing locations.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's culturally responsive communication, as we've been talking about here, which, is the intentionality behind this campaign. So check them out if you guys are still looking for resources or, again, getting your questions answered.
All right. Good stuff. How now the Black History Month is over with? I see we got a few minutes here. Let me throw this out there. How was your Black History Month?
Well, the truth about it, we say this all the time. We celebrate Black history every day. And, shout out to Rainier Avenue Radio for the myriad of events that they had throughout the month. Some amazing things. I was able to tap in this past weekend and, listen to some guests that came from Tulsa, Oklahoma, hearing their story about Black Wall Street and some of their descendants actually from that massacre that occurred there. It was really insightful. And, being able, again, to support Black vendors, that's something I do on the regular anyway. But I love that there was a lot of opportunities for community to get connected to some of these amazing business owners and their products and services, because to me, that's really the ways that we can reinvigorate our Black community in particular and circulate those Black dollars. So I definitely got out there. It was great.
Yeah, that's what's up.
How about you? I get to ask you.
Black History Month. Yo, it's weird though, right? Because it's like Black History Month's always been like kind of our thing. But then like after that crime against humanity, the murder of George Floyd. It's like, a lot of corporate America and everybody else embraced like Black history. But, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was traumatized half the month. You know what I'm saying? With people, it's all these stories of whatever and everything else. And you'd be like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times maybe people well-intentioned, but they can't seem to tell this Black history story without everything linking to slavery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy. We've got a history maker in the studio here with us today, John Arnold. You know what I'm saying? A history maker in the technology business. I mean, but, and so you watch all this stuff and it's like, damn, you just get traumatized. And I think it's important that we celebrate our history, but it's weird because it's not even weird. It's just different because like Pride is a celebration, right? Pride is a celebration. Black History Month is a wake. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to a wake every year, and that's the way that sponsors even approach it. Sponsors approach Pride like, man, we're going to celebrate Pride. You know what I'm saying? It is outrageous. It is off the hook. And it's amazing. It is so memorable. And when we talk about Black history, it's like a wake, like we're going to the funeral. And part of that's important, or we have to remember. But you know what I'm saying? I think that we need to really be in celebration of who we are as opposed to mourning who we are. Does that make sense?
I mean, I agree with you, and particularly around major media and like you're talking about corporate America, which is so true. I mean, there's these, again, like, let me check off a box right here to say we did something specific for Black History Month. But I will say I loved seeing our community be in a celebratory, stance. When you're thinking about Africatown Plaza groundbreaking and you see all of that beauty there and you see so many people coming from the community to celebrate something. But you're right. I think we need more of that throughout the month. And I get to see it and experience it in my bubble, right? In Black community and in the segments that I, again, just even some of the things Rainier Avenue Radio was doing. But I think it's very, very true what you're saying here. Oh, it needs to be at a larger level. Scale it up.
Yeah. And also I think sponsorship and commercials and stuff is good. We told people it was like December was your cutoff for Converge. If you're trying to do anything for Black History Month, don't be calling us, you know what I'm saying, February 1st. I'm like, we got some new ad for Black history and everything else. But let's see where the intentionality is of these big businesses that are out there. You know what I'm saying? And especially with this subject that you're talking about here today, where you're talking about high school sports and the WIAA, there's lots of corporate sponsors out there. Let's see how willing they are to be a part of Black history in real life. You know what I'm saying? And let's see how much pressure they're going to come and bring to bear on this WIAA when we take a look at it and how it impacts our youth. Because, buying a banner ad or a nice commercial with a great ending with a warm fuzzy for Black history is one thing, but how impactful are you going to be on Black people on the everyday is another thing.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the call right there. I think that's the charge to give to all of these corporate bodies and entities. Ultimately, they have an opportunity. That's why I love to say it. You have an opportunity to change the scope, to make bold, innovative choices that actually break the monotony of the ways things have been done in the past. I agree. Put it out there. It's a great challenge for them.
All right. So it hasn't been since Director Chappelle. Since we've had this in the morning show, we've had this much Rainier Beats up, but I'm so happy to see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting ready to get off the set. And next up, do we got a next up for John? There he is, John Arnold, co-founder and CEO of Vertical Life. He's coming here to the set, and he's going to give us a background of what's happening here with the seeding with Rainier Beach in the state playoffs. He's got a nice he's a data scientist, so just make sure he saves some time, Jalen. Okay, you're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear.
When the pandemic hit, it did affect me. As a barber, I had my own personal reasons why I didn't get vaccinated. At the time, I didn't check the actual source. I thought the vaccine was developed too fast, but I was talking to a doctor and he was telling me more about the vaccine and what it could do to protect us and our family. I wanted to get back to that once was, right? I do feel safe knowing that I am vaccinated. I just hope what I'm saying is reaching into people's heads to know that this is the best decision for all of us.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and joining me right now is John Arnold. We're going to dive into all things from the data perspective about basketball and the high school arena. Hi, thank you so much, John, for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, this is something that I think is very intriguing. It's hitting a very specific sector, and oftentimes you're probably getting a lot of data that a lot of folks are not aware of. Let's dive into this whole story of the WIAA and the ways that they've been seeding teams maybe to have specific outcomes.
Yeah. So what I first saw, leading up to the season, I had watched the whole season, right? For high school basketball. And as we got closer and closer, the WIA uses a system called the RPI, the Ratings Percentage Index. And, all season long, all the teams, again, as they play each game, each of their outcomes, their wins, their losses, it looks at the opponents' wins and losses as a percentage. And it also looks at the opponents' wins and losses as a percentage. And so you can kind of see all season long how your team is doing and as we advance towards state. And so Rainier Beach, for just about the majority of the season, actually had the number 3 RPI, with just above us being Garfield number 1 and Auburn number 2. And as it got down to the final week of the season, we still maintain this number 3 ranking for RPI. And again, the RPI was introduced a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, as a way to take the subjectivity out, from the decision makers and really help them, with more accurate data. So you didn't get to the end and folks were flipping coins or doing other things and trying to again imagine this team should be here or there or what have you. So once we hit that final weekend, Rainier Beach had just won their last district game over Lake Washington. And I had reached out to the WIAA because it was actually reported incorrectly. It was reported as a loss. And so it changed our record from 18-3 to 17-4. And the WIA actually did respond. And they said, hey, this will be updated in time for the seedings the next day, which was on Sunday, the 20th. And so the seedings came out. And Rainier Beach, again, which had maintained this number 3 spot, throughout the year, all of a sudden was seated at number 4, and a team that actually lost their final game, O'Day, was moved from the 8th position to the number 3 position, not only vaulting Rainier Beach, but also bypassing teams like Montlake Terrace and others that had strong resumes this season. They did everything they needed to do. They won their league, they had an outstanding schedule, and so on. So obviously it raised a lot of concerns when I saw this. And so the first thing I did was I had reached right back out, to the person at the WIAA that actually, had been responsive. And I said, hey, what happened? This is concerning. How did this happen? And so she started to give me, info. She said, hey, it's some human selection involved in this. She said, from each district has a representative and each league has a representative that made that final decision. And so, you can imagine, here's the team, right? All season long, this is the rules. This is the guidelines. And they're watching this kind of, all season playing their best. And then all of a sudden something gets overturned. At the end, what does that sound like, right? You sit there and go, if we were to vote with their performances with their feet, and then all of a sudden at the end, what the legislator overturns you or something, your vote, the will, right? So it just not only bugged us, but because we had seen it before, and I know Jalen is here with me today, a multi-talented player, football and basketball. He saw it in football this year, and we've seen it in previous seasons also. So what ended up happening was I had asked, what is that criteria that the humans used, and so they started to feed me a lot more info, and they said, there's factors this season, things like, the impact of COVID, the overlap of the football season, when players were available, and all these things that were never stated, in any visible way that, we could understand. So what I did was I created a model, right? And so I took the inputs from the WIAA, I took the RPI, and I also took publicly available data, right? And I showed them that.
Now, this is the bracket that you created.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if it's on screen, but what it does is it looked at several factors, and so first off, we looked at, and in particular, we put ourselves against a team that actually was seated above us, in O'Day. And so what this did was it first looked at how did we finish in our league, in the Metro division. We were 3rd, and they were 8th in Metro. And then we ended up looking at what was the head-to-head competition, because usually, head-to-head competition, sort of, takes the mystery out of everything. Well, we beat them just a few weeks ago in our only head-to-head meeting. And then we looked at, how did we finish against, Metro, Seattle Metro, arguably is one of the toughest divisions in, I would say, Jalen would probably say this too, in the Western region of the United States, right?
Wow.
With all the teams lined up. And so we were 13-1 and they were 11-4. And then we looked at, well, what was the final rank in the league? Well, we were 2nd and they were 7th. And then we said, okay, how did the Metro playoffs go? The championship playoff round and everything. We ended up 3rd and they didn't qualify for the playoffs. We looked at the non-league games, right? Where and Rainier Beach, it was interesting this year. We were invited to play in what is called the Bass Pro tournament in St. Louis, and we ended up having to opt out of it because our coach, Mike Bethea, and I think some of you may know him, ended up having COVID. And he was hospitalized, and we actually had some scenarios of COVID across the team. So we were 2-0, and they were 3-1. So it's more of a wash, we'll call it. But and then we looked at how did we do against other playoff teams in our district. We were 6-3, and they were 5-4. And then, as I said, we had a final win in our district against Lake Washington, and they had a final loss in the district against Garfield. Then we pulled out, what were the independent polls saying? What was the media poll saying in the Seattle Times? What was Scorebook Live saying, which is a consensus of coaches, and Max Preps? Well, the Seattle Times had us 3rd, and I believe it had O'Day 8th. And Scorebook, which is a consensus of coaches, had us 3rd. And the final poll, for Scorebook had them 7th, right? And then we said, okay, let's take some of those other factors again that the WIAA said, were these other considerations that humans make, right? And so what we looked at was what was the overlap of the football season, and we had an outstanding football season. So did O'Day. But we finished the weekend on the same weekend. We finished on Friday, the 19th of November, and they finished on Saturday, the 20th of November in the quarterfinals. Again, great seasons. But we also had, some player injuries and other things. Our players are heavily recruited, Jalen, Josh, some of these guys were always having to, go away and do different things, take trips and so forth. But again, that shouldn't have been a factor for either team. And then one thing that was really telling to me was we took the WIAA's own top 4 teams in the state, which was Garfield, Auburn, ourselves, and by their standards, O'Day. They went 0-4, didn't win a game against any of them. We went 1-1. All right, so we lost to Garfield and we beat O'Day. And then, again, we looked at how many weeks we were, tops in the RPI. Last 60 days, we held this number 3 position. And then last was the COVID effect and injuries, right? And so in our case, our lone loss in our Metro League was to Eastside Catholic, who is, again, an outstanding team. But in our case, Jalen didn't play that game. Mike Bethea, our coach, was hospitalized. We had another frontline player, not play that game. And also one of the our first substitute off the bench wasn't in that game. So we lost that game, and it was close. It almost, it was decided in the final seconds. But if you look at that kind of body of work, you sit there and go, man, how did this final positioning occur? Which was, again, the mystery for me. So.
Yeah, this, wow. And that graphic really shows a lot. I'm glad we kept it up there so the audience can really see the data that you were able to analyze and also comparatively see how they would make these decisions. Now, when you talk about humans entering something where, we talk about the numbers don't lie, right? Like the numbers don't lie, but that percentage for human error is large.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, this is something that is now affecting a whole team of young athletes who've been giving their all this whole season. How have you guys been able to kind of deal with this after you came out with that metric and you really were able to do that data analysis, John?
Yeah. So there's multiple paths here, or I'll just say, on the one hand, we explained it to the players. Coach Mike, great leader that he is, he gathers the players up every practice, and he has not only, basketball discussions with them, but he has real life discussions with them and talks about the impact of this. And all the way through it, the players have been involved, so they understood it well. But we also know that, there's this equity that we talk about, right? WIAA is an old organization. It's been, I think, established in 1905. And again, sort of presiding over, this whole process of Washington State athletics, right? And I think you were alluding to, and O was alluding to, some of the things around, not only sponsors, but the state cedes authority to them, the district cede authority to them. And to sit there and kind of, as that plays out, I think everybody wants to know that there's fairness, in the system. There shouldn't be, on the final weekend in the 23rd hour, 59th minute, somebody overturning anything, right?
Yeah.
After these guys have worked so hard. And then as they go to the playoffs and they make it to state, there's opportunities for these kids, right? These guys, again, have been preparing, some of them 6-7 years old, trying to make sure that this craft that they love so much, that they cherish so much. And not only their kids, the parents are so invested, as you've even described, and communities are invested, alumni are invested. Then you start to, it raises questions like, again, city of Tacoma hosts this big tournament, right? How do they feel about partnering with the WIAA if there's inequities, right? Sponsors feel about having their brand, their name out there if there's inequities involved, right? And so again, this impact is not just, you know, one tiny seating item.
Right.
You know, it's reflective of a system that, you know, may not or may need to be re-reviewed and changed and updated. So
Yeah, I mean, this is really where I think there's room for growth here. I always love to see things in terms of opportunities, and it's like to be able to showcase to the WIAA that this is what you actually have done, and this is how it's supported by numbers and data. You know, then they have a blueprint of, okay, we need to probably do something different here. What do you feel the response has been now that all this information is out there? And again, this opportunity rests really with the WIAA.
yeah, so there was a lag, you know, and again, beginning of last week was President's Day, a holiday. And so the seatings came out on a Sunday. Had they had regrouped, right, and said, hey, raise their hand, look, mistakes been made, let's regroup, let's sort of see if we can go into, you know, some process to fix that. That didn't happen, right? You know, so day after day went on. Even the NAACP, you know, got involved, really tried to highlight, you know, the issues for them. And then we get to towards the end of the week, and they said, hey, we're going to look at this, you know, after the season, postseason. We're not going to make any changes, even given all of this information coming, you know, into the weekend where the decision was made, right? And so, and that was, you know, that was a downer, you know, for us. And I mean, again, it's not to say, you know, this is not, you know, a discussion about all the kids are awesome, right? You know, the kids are great, you know, and the WIA wants to support kids if they truly want to support kids this way. You know, they should have taken an opportunity to respond and react, even as the weekend was playing out, as they had this information, you know, where they were in a pretty good position and with timing to be able to do that. And so, I mean, I think for, you know, the beach kids, they don't honestly care who they play.
Right.
Right. I mean, just put anybody in front of them, you know, they're super competitive. You know, they play at an elite level. You know, these guys program is historic, just Garfield others, right? O'Day included, you know. So there's nothing against any of those teams. It's just, again, the overseer of this system, you know, is what we have to look at. It's 2022, right? I mean, the equity has to play out now. So.
Equity has to play out, but you know, the truth of the matter is equity was never built into any of these systems. And so I'm always saying that there's opportunities for Washington State to lead with regard to how they're going to ensure that equity is now being injected in, or that the system is being, again, like you were just kind of talking about, revamped and really centering equity at the center of the process. Now, this is something that is, it is an unfortunate thing, but you're right. You know, these athletes, they're resilient. Obviously, they have a great coach, you know, that's really guiding them. And I know that either way, like you said, any team in front of them, they're going to bring their A game regardless. But this is something that I'm so glad you are pointing out and making sure that we understand what's going on. Because for me, the more aware we are of something, I always think the more pressure can be put even on the WIAA from a wide variety of sources to say, you guys have got to get this right and make sure that this is not something that's repeated in the next season. But, you know, again, right now, your work is really helping to do that. How else do you get to utilize your data science mind in terms of helping community? Because again, I want to make a real clear connection here that oftentimes there's not enough of that happening. We know inequities are out there. We talk about all of these examples with the justice system, with, you know, inequities in wealth and building wealth. There's so many different things. How else does Vertical Life try to, you know, do what you can to kind of shine a light on some of that?
So, you know, my whole career, I've been focused on, you know, again, ways to reach into the community, either technically, where, again, you know, I've spent a lot of my time, or even traditionally with traditional businesses and opportunities also. You know, I'm always about the last mile, right? You know, because a lot of times, you know, when new tech, say, for example, you know, Vertical Life is focused on sort of that next generation of the internet, Web 3, right? You know, where the metaverse and extended reality and all these things that folks don't truly understand yet. But, you know, when we talked about the mobile internet, the social internet, everybody had to understand those over time, right? And so we're really involved in that last mile and helping consumers and businesses make their entry into this without a ton of expenditure, help, them show up, help them be discoverable, in the metaverse, in this new web environment that's coming. And so that's one way, we try and do it, because we know, the corner store, the barbershop, et cetera, we don't know, right? It's like, hey, what the heck is metaverse? What is, how you got to convert your assets to 3D and all these other things in ways that, what is machine learning? What is AI? Don't know, right? And so anything that, we're focused on those ways of being able to, again, lay down that last mile of, technology and usher them into this new era, as we've done, in previous ventures.
Honestly, John, it's so necessary.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to be following up with you, because I'm trying to understand the NFTs and the, I mean, I'm just like, there's so much to learn. And oftentimes it is, too much for the everyday individual, because it's like there's so much information out there. I always take this back to even COVID, when COVID first started, and everybody was like, wait a minute, where do I get resources? Where do I get what do I do? What do I do? And it's that same kind of thing right now. So I love to hear you say that that's another way that Vertical Life is being intentional to connect with community in that regard. I mean, this is something that is unfortunate, but what can the everyday person do with regard to holding the WIAA accountable for this?
Well, I think letting their voices be heard, right? Being able to sort of communicate either directly to the WIAA or, to any of those organizations that, are impacted. They see the sponsors, right? The sponsors getting feedback that, hey, somebody raises a question to any one of those sponsors that what you've got your brand on, that bracket, that seating, that state tournament, looks like it was inequitable in terms of how it came together. Residents of Tacoma, others, anything where the WIA, has a presence, that's how voices, at least grassroots, I think, can come up. Now, those that are really want to get active, obviously NAACP, supporting programs like Converge, right? Others that are highlighting this, anybody that is in supportive of that message to try and even the playing field and eradicate the inequities. I think that those were how the voices come up. That's how they get highlighted. So
I appreciate you so much for being here to give your perspective and really this data perspective on how all of this played out. It really just shined a light for me, because I was, Omari and I were talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, but you really have laid it out so much for us. If people are looking to connect with you and Vertical Life, you can look right there and make sure they know how to do so.
Absolutely. All right.
How do they connect with you?
So Vertical Life, www.verticallife.com, is the easiest way. And then, me personally, in terms of LinkedIn, addresses and so on, I'm easily, you can look me up easily. So,
all right. John Arnold, bringing it down for us. And I really appreciate you bringing it to a level that we can all understand. So appreciate your work. And thank you again for spotlighting this for all of us.
Thank you.
Well, you guys heard it right there from John. A mouthful indeed, but honestly, so necessary for us to understand how some of these things play out. I can't wait till after this break. You guys, we're going to be talking to Jalen Green, one of Rainier Beach's star players on their basketball and apparently their football team. Going to get a student athlete take on all of this. That is the WIAA. Stay tuned after this short break. You guys, you're watching the Morning Update Show.
Every student who wants to play music should have the opportunity to. Do you know any young people that are excited to start learning music or pick their instrument back up? Seattle Jazz Ed is now enrolling for spring classes. Open to youth across the area, all music programs are offered on a sliding scale, pay-what-you-can model, and free loaner instruments are available for every family. Taught by some of Seattle's finest artists, classes are designed to meet musicians where they are in skill level with options for beginner, intermediate, and advanced level. And this season, we're opening up ensembles with options for drummers, vocalists, and instrumentalists of all kinds. Registering for March classes can be done online or over the phone, and you can learn more by checking out seattlejazzed.org or calling or texting 206-324-JAZZ.
Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And joining me on the set right now, I get to be a little bit of a fan right now with Jalen Green. What's up, Jalen?
How's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
You know, welcome to the Black Media Matter Studios, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, your first time at Converge. We're glad to have you.
Excited.
Well, you know, John was really laying a foundation for something that you actually experience in your everyday life.
Yeah.
As a student athlete, I understand so much that is required of you to be kind of studying your craft, building up your skill set around the clock. Let's talk a little bit about what got you to your Rainier Beach stardom right now and considered, you know, a really top pick for some of these colleges out here. Tell us a little bit about your story.
So my freshman year, honestly, I went to the beach because my uncle was a head coach of the football team. And it's kind of like my family's been going through there. My oldest cousin went there to play football, and I just went through the process too. So I ended up going to Rainier Beach, playing football and basketball, varsity and JV for basketball, and having a really good time. And then I had some messed up decisions in this end of that year, and I ended up transferring to Kenwood and doing that experience and thinking that it was going to be better for me. But in the long run, now I'm thinking about it, it wasn't the best choice. And if anything, how I'm getting affected right now is how I was affected back then too, because I knew I could have been way better than what I was when I was there, but they held me back a lot just by doing, But anyways, fast forward to junior year, last year, COVID year. It's a crazy year. We couldn't practice, couldn't go outside, couldn't do nothing for real. And it was just like demotivating to a lot of people, a lot of players, because it's like we worked so hard for our whole life to get to now we can't even do what we love.
Yeah.
And it hurts, but we had to get through that and then get through the season, having a short season and not enough players because it's Rainier Beach and not enough, we don't really get a lot of numbers out for football a lot. So we had and people was just starting to get hurt, dropping like flies, and it wasn't good. But I was just, I had to always be me and stand out, and because I know I could do what I do, and I know when I get the ball in my hands, I'm gonna make a play, and that's why I feel like I kind of was able to get on that rise, and colleges started to look at me because I showed that I was a playmaker, and when the ball's in my hands, I'm gonna do what people really can't do.
Well, it takes a lot. I mean, this is something that, I'm so glad, because O was like, I know this is something that's close to your heart because I'm watching my son, 16, 10th grade. He's at Federal Way High right now. But just like you, he dealt with this last year where there was so much of a drain because you're on the computer, you're trying, and really school is about connection.
Yeah.
You're not connecting with your friends, your homies. Like, my son was like, dang, Mom, we can't even see girls. Like, that was just a real thing. It was a real part of what so many students had to experience throughout COVID. So, we've been saying here on the Morning Update Show and at Converge, we salute you students for going through that because we know it was not easy. And we also know as a student athlete, there's a whole nother layer because you got to find time to practice. You got to find times to make it work. And I think a lot of coaches really tried with their programs to figure it all out. And I know Coach Thea was doing that as well. So now it's senior year for you.
Year.
It's like, you've gotten to this point. And as John was just laying out here, you guys work your butts off. You get through this amazing season. And then this seeding comes out. Tell us about your experience and your perspective on all the things John was just describing.
At first, when I first heard about it and was just seeing all the evidence, I was just like, I couldn't really make sense of this. I was just like, but it just feels like I've already been here before. Like it feels like they do it to us so much that at this point in time in my life, it's just like, I'm used to it and I'm numb to it. So it's like I know we got to fight through it and just do what we got to do to get us to where we want to be, and we can't let them try and stop us, because they're gonna do it anything in their power to try and stop us, and they've shown it previous times. 2014, we got invited to a national tournament in New York, and the WIAA said we couldn't do it. They stopped us. But the year before that, there was a predominantly white coach in school that was able to go in a national tournament. And it's just like, it didn't make sense. 2016, they had that's when they implemented the RPI system, only because the year before that, there was complaints about how when the state brackets came out, they had all the predominantly black schools on one side and all the prep schools and the other schools on the other side. And they had, just stuff like that. But now it's just like they got the RPI system to try and, just all these apologies and trying to say they're going to make stuff better. But here we are still. They're not making nothing better. And it's just like, I'm tired of all the apologies and trying to, I want to actually make change and actually let there be change and not let this cycle keep going on.
Well, at some point you're like, hey, when are you going to get it right? Right. Apologies mean that you're willing to atone for those mistakes,
exactly,
not continue to repeat them. So I understand that completely. But I also, I want to draw attention to the fact that when we talk about sports in general, Black males are the number one demographic that is involved in football and basketball predominantly. I mean, we're talking upwards of 80% and above, right? Whether it's in, particularly in college sports. So you're entering an arena where they know that, unfortunately, this is something that they have to deal with, whether it's their racial bias, whatever it is, oppression, discrimination. Ultimately, they actually know that young Black males are the predominant demographic in collegiate sports. So the WIAA doing this, at a high school level, I think, well, then what are they trying to get to? Why are they trying to make it so that it's difficult for you when all you guys are going to do is prevail anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, all we're going to do is prevail, get through it no matter what. Like, I don't know why they try to stop us so much. Like, you can only try and stop us for so much, but once you see we're going to keep prevailing, like, what can you keep doing? So it's like how I feel like they could try whatever they want. They could, do whatever they want and try and keep us from doing what we got to do. But at the end of the day, we're going to do what they say we can't do and what they don't want us to do.
Yeah. We're going to do what they say we can't and what they don't want us to do. So I got to ask you, I mean, this spotlight on you, as a young man, how is it affecting you and your life? I mean, this is really the next level when we start thinking about, senior year for you and moving on to the next level in college, these colleges looking at you and understanding some of the business behind basketball, because that's something I'm always telling my son about. There's a book called Soul Influence that really describes how the shoe companies are embedded in so many of the relationships at the collegiate level. I mean, they really start at middle school because they're checking out kids from a really young age. So I'm sure some of these recruiters been looking at you for years. And then they were like, oh man, he just took the lid off. Last year he took the lid off. Now we really see what he's capable of. How was that for you to kind of get that kind of, look on you and everybody kind of like, man, what is he going to do next?
I mean, it was crazy at first. Like, I would run into some people who would know me, I wouldn't know them. And it was just kind of like shocking. Like, people really know who I am. But at the end of the day, I'm just thinking about it as I got to get used to it. And this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life if I end up going to where I want to go. So I got to just embrace it and take it all in and get used to it.
Get used to it. I think that's also a part of what the coaches try to do too, is give you some grounding, right? Like level it off. Obviously, your skill set is going to take you far, but so much of this is about your mental acuity with the game, right? And understanding how all of that kind of fame and that spotlight, all that kind of stuff, how that you got to kind of almost put it to the background, because when you hit that court, it's about what you're going to do in that game.
All goes away.
So you guys got, you guys got some games coming up. Tell us about what you're looking forward to during this now championship.
To be honest, I'm just looking forward to being on the big stage, being in Tacoma Dome. This is my first time ever being on Tacoma Dome, man. I just want to have fun, play with my teammates for the last time, and get wins and end up with the state ring. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And you know what? I can feel your energy of just being, down to earth, low key, not letting it get to your head,
Nah,
which
at
is so
all.
important, right? And kudos to everybody that's around you. That's really like family, friends, coaches, anybody who's really helping you in that regard. Because I think this is all about that kind of village mentality too. Man, what do you want to tell your teammates, man? You're out here, you're on Converge, man. Look right there, the camera, man. What are you trying to tell your teammates?
Man, I love all my teammates. And I know we're going to get this state ring, and I know we're going to come for what they said we can't get. And I believe in all you guys. And I know if we work together, we're going to get this together.
Togetherness is key. That's what team sportsmanship is all about. Jalen, if folks want to connect with you, follow your journey as you continue on. I know I will be. I know my son is, right? How can folks reach out to you and connect?
Instagram is at Jalen Green _ JAELINGREEN. And Twitter is the real JG4 with 3 L's. So TheRealJG4.
All right. Jalen Green in the building. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today on the Morning Update Show. And you know what, young man, thank you for being grounded, for knowing what you got to do. We support you 100%. I'm always going to be a bulldog, but I got to say, I wore your colors today.
I appreciate
it. Represent.
I appreciate it.
Represent for you. But, we are rooting for you guys. And honestly, what the WIAA has done is disgraceful. But I love your attitude about this and that you're going to continue to persevere and you're going to continue to be there for your teammates, man. Shout out to you and thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. So much greatness and great energy in here today on this terrific Tuesday. You guys, I get to bring my co-host with the most, Big O, back to the set after this. But I'm telling you, I'm so inspired by this young man right now. I'm ready to go home, talk to my son, and give him some words of inspiration and encouragement. Stay tuned after this short break. You guys, you're watching the Morning Update Show.
In the depths of Belize, the travelers come across the waters, harvesting with their hands, learning of resilience rooted deep in the lands, culture thriving like a fire ablaze, sizzling with a pop and a chop, sharing its ways. Knowledge simmers and grinds into the hearts and minds, cutting away from the surface stories and colonial lies, boiling it down, breaking its shell as the truth pours out and gets plated collectively with love, spooned into bowls, feeding the soul. Garifuna, alive and strong at Palmetto Grove.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And what an amazing show we've had today. And I get to bring back an amazing person to the set. Big O, what up, Big O?
Yeah, see, Trey's laughing because someone had to readjust the camera. The camera was way up here. So somebody had to go and readjust the camera. But today was really dope on a lot of different levels. One, of course, bringing this information of what's going on in WIAA and what they've been doing and what we know they've been doing. And you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times it's difficult to have this expectation around equity and everything else with our kids, especially when there's not too much representation literally at the table that
Yeah.
involves our kids. But something else that we saw here is we saw an amazing data scientist that looked like us. And Johnny, I mean, this is like, you know, he's just kind of doing his thing over here with Rainier Beach. John Arnold has had a long and illustrious career in IT and tech, you know, but like, and this is what I'm talking about, is when we're able to use our greatness within our community for our community. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Jalen, you talk about resilience. This young man's like, and
You know, this is what
he's like, yeah, you know, it's all bad, but and
yeah.
you know,
I'm telling you, I was looking forward to these interviews today when we were talking about them yesterday and just diving a little bit more into what was going on. But you're so right when you talk about the history of it all. You know, the fact that they would move to numbers to try to sway from human error. But let's be real, it's not really error. It is really human discrimination. It is so blatant. And we have seen this in this state for so many different years. And the truth of the matter is that as a parent of a player and witnessing this on all levels, it's not just high school, it's also in the AAU leagues. I mean, you're talking about elementary school kids, and they're still putting that kind of discrimination against our babies. It's insane.
I think that when, you know, we talk about, it's like, damn, we get it coming and going. And that's why I was saying, it was like, yeah, even Black History Month, it was, you know, half the month it's been traumatized because it's, you know, I mean, because here is something tangible here today. And I would say this for anybody watching a live show that watch the replay, we'll clip this out. If you are a sponsor or a municipality like the city of Tacoma, you know, the city of destiny, the city that stands for equality and justice. And if you are a sponsor and sponsoring the WIAA in this basketball tournament, man, that I would implore you to take a look at this. I would implore you to ask questions, to actually see what's going on, you know, because just writing a check blindly is really not going to work these days, especially with the impact of our youth here. And, you know, I'm sure that after the playoffs, we'll probably get Coach Bethia. We could probably get a roundtable in here of Metro coaches, but Coach Bethia, he's dean of the class. He's been out there Rainier Beach for a very long time. He'll come here and probably tell us a long sordid history with the WIAA. But I would just hope that people who are sponsoring the WIAA and the basketball tournament, they really take a look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I mean, this is something that, you know, John laid it out so well and so nicely. It was really comprehensive for me to be able to like, wow, this is the level that they're taking right now to kind of circumvent the system that they even put in place to ensure that equity was at the root of it. So, you know, this is something that I think is a great opportunity for folks to get engaged. I love how you put that call out there, Oh.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, I mean, don't buy no ad for Black History, but it'd be like, oh, be about Black History today. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these businesses, local businesses, very big, and they have lots of influence. All right, so we got a few things here. You know, a few weeks ago, Basic Gordon and Brady McAtee and Salman Abukwasi, they all took a flight from here down to Las Vegas as part of our Converge on the Road. You know, I mean, a few months ago, everybody was out in Spokane. Yeah. Spokane was real formal. You know what I'm saying? We talked to a lot of people there. Besa went out there and crew to Las Vegas and caught up with Mark Hanson, recording artist Mark Hanson, who actually did an interview here too. I guess we'll see that pretty soon, who had a listening party there in Las Vegas. And yeah, I don't understand how I didn't get invited for one. But anyways, we got a teaser right here. This is the full interview with Mark Hanson is going to air this Friday, this Friday in the Rewind with Basin.
We are literally on our way back from Vegas. We had an amazing trip. Got some good interviews coming up for you guys, so definitely stay locked for that.
Look like water on my island. Long way from running from the siren. I've been hella fly, I'm a pilot. I get what I want if I like it. Like it, yeah. If I like it. If I like it, yeah. If I like it.
What's up? Converge Media in the building. Yeah.
We're gonna have to come back to Vegas real soon because it's really lit.
Oh, I love it. I am so excited to see the full interviews coming out. And it's a great thing because, we know they went out there, and I was asking Salman, he's like, hey, man, it was lit, man. We did this, we did that. I was like, hold on, man. I was like, hold on. Just like you. Oh, I was like, nobody called me. Okay.
I know, like me and Treyana, we were out there in Vegas not too long ago, and we did it like the old folks. I'll be honest with you. It was nice though, because we were at the Cosmopolitan. Real
Very
nice. You know what I'm saying?
We
just hung out, and Treyana was just ordering vegan soul food. That was
that was a highlight right there.
That was a highlight. We apparently, whenever Basa goes back to Vegas, we need to go with her because she's got it going. And also there she interviewed Portland recording artist Mookie. And actually with the last studio made it in Mookie's video. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they went and they got some soul food and everything else. So it's gonna be coming out, and the interview comes out on Friday, and we got lots of other stuff there. But we're really pushing our Converge on the road and going to different places across, the Northwest and across the region and everything else. So we got lots of content coming from Las Vegas.
Oh, I'm so excited to see it. And it really looks like they had a great time. I done already heard some stories, but I'm like, man, come on, man.
It happened.
Yeah, brother.
It happened in Vegas. So
it stays.
So
okay.
it's staying there in Vegas. Also, something we're really excited about, man. And the video, excuse me, something we're really excited about is Art of the Matter. And we did a live show on that not this Monday, I guess a Monday ago. And that video is done so well. We didn't want to confuse the audience and just put up the single episode, because the actual live show video is just doing extremely well on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And that was with Kevin Morales down there in Bella Vista, Belize. And so we've got a clip here of the next episode of Art of the Matter. It airs on Monday, right? Monday at 6 p.m. And this is Penn. I don't want to kill his
Cayetano.
Penn Cayetano in the city of Dangriga, Belize. Speaking of that, big shout out to Alaska Airlines, and big shout out to the Belize Tourism Board. Alaska took 16 of us down there, including T-Dub. And you guys, you were part of this experience. You went over there and caught up with the artist Penn Cayetano there in Dangriga, which is the cultural center of Belize. This episode is getting ready to air Monday at 6 p.m.
I'm a Garifuna. Yeah. So I speak Garifuna. I work with my mother at the farm, dig up cassava, plant the cassava, chop the farm, clean up the farm, and everything like that. But I'm still painting, In the morning, I go to the farm, and by 10 o'clock, I'll be back home every day. Sunday, Monday, every day. You see, the art passed through my veins and my blood and everything, and I feel like, it's art got to come out. It's got to come out. But art is my life. Art is my life.
Oh my goodness, what good times. I'm so excited to see how this episode shaped up, because being there, honestly, Penn Cayetano was giving us life with his story and the history, really the deep-rooted culture of artistry in Dangriga and all that he's done. Phenomenal.
Yeah, like Penn's OG, man. Yeah. And he's like recognized by everybody, like, their government, artists around the world, all these different organizations. And so the fact that you guys were able to post up out there in this space, did you drink some of his homemade wine?
You know what? It was, he had juice and wine. I had more juice than I had a little bit. It was good.
Trey, it's cool.
It was good.
Clearly, I'm sorry. There you go. Clearly, what happens in Belize also stays in Belize. All right, good stuff. So, man, we're getting ready to get out of here. I don't have up next for this, but tomorrow I talked to Brian Callanan earlier. I guess he's got some stuff coming in hot off the press. So we'll be joined by Brian Callanan of Seattle News, Views, and Brews. And then also, I'm going to be out tomorrow. You got G. Prez Aspie is going to be guest host. Tomorrow is a lot going on for us. So G. Prez Aspie will be joining you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. Anytime I can get with my brother G. Prez, you know it's going to be a good one, y'all.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of positivity for sure. If you got President House. Looks like we're just a few minutes over time, Trey Holiday. We'll get out of here. Any last words?
Oh, just quickly, see yourself as a part of the solution. I was so inspired by John and obviously by Jalen today for them to be doing what they're doing in the midst of everything that the WIAA is throwing at them. Just shout out to them, and you guys be inspired. You guys can do the same. See yourself as a part of the solution.
All right. Good stuff. Well, there's no programming notes tonight, luckily. But on that note, we're going to leave you a little hope, and we want to remind you, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
What do I see through a lens of fear? 1,000 little steps to go. What do I fear after all these years? Lord knows I don't even know. I've been running on the edge of a sundial, sleeping in the shadow. I've been begging you to see me, then hiding beyond the unreachable. Looking out left on a right-hand turn, just trying to make a deal. Lazy shoes and love is a love that turn. That's the kind of food that heals. I've been searching for the end of an era, waiting to be ready. The world is bigger than a moment. Be steady, that's how you can feel it's real. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got used to hiding the holes. This whole world got new tricks and I'm in the thick of it. This I swear I'm already sick of it. At least I found the antidote. Oh. I know no one is a shadow. 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 No one is a shadow. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got you.